Seems the shrooms are letting in more people every day. You see a fella on his own on your way in. Dwarf. Balin's his name.
Haven't seen him.
Right. Never mind.
Who is he to you?
My useless husband. Sent him for an errand. It's no surprise he's made a mess of it.
Need some help finding him?
Knock yourself out. But don't come begging for coin if you find him. You try to ransom him to me, you'll find yourself skint and stuck with a fat old lout.
What does Balin look like?
Bald, blue tunic, dumb as a stick.
Stop! Stop! People bang!
Bibber what? Speak plainly, won't you?
These mushrooms! Toxic! Scroll! Escape! My bag, please! I've dropped it! Somewhere!
Hold tight, I'll find your bag.
Thank you! Thank you! I'm all right. God. I can finally breathe. Right. What were you saying?
What are you doing down here?
I was looking for Deneth. She'll be worried sick. I must need to go. For you. Your trouble. Ta.
Look at that. Got my useless old man back. I suppose that's your doing. His hands are empty as a whole. We'll have to send him back out soon enough.
It's a miracle he survived. You should take him home.
Please. Balin's got a job to do. We can leave when he's done it.
This is dangerous territory. You must be down here for a reason.
Collecting noble stock. Valuable mushroom. We've a shop in Baldur's Gate. The locals go mad for it.
What makes it so valuable?
Nearly nothing it can't cure. Blindness, poison, hair loss.
Ah, a visitor. You're a welcome sight. But let us observe the customs of the locals.
The scholar's brow tenses. His voice spills into your skull, the spores connecting mind to mind.
Blurg, proud member of the Society of Brilliance, at your service. Or perhaps not. Your mind is far more complex than that of the fungi.
I've never seen a hobgoblin like you before.
The feeling is mutual, friend. I have only passing familiarity with the surface races. But I found that there is as much to learn from an individual as there is from a community. So it is with the Myconids. They live in harmonious unity, but each has a unique personality. My colleagues and I are working to improve conditions in the Underdark. This need not be such a dire, hostile place. It's curious to find a surface dweller here. What has brought you down so deep?
A mind flayer infected me with a tadpole.
Truly remarkable. But why come to the Underdark, where they hold so much power? You were infected by an illicit tadpole? It's a miracle you're still intact. You must be worried sick, but have no fear. I have a friend who may be able to assist. Omelium!
I hope this is important, Blurg. My Zerkwood samples need constant attention.
It is. This adventurer has an illithid tadpole inside her head, but she hasn't turned.
No ceremorphosis? That's impossible, but intriguing. Are you looking to have it extracted?
An illithid is your friend? How is that possible?
I have broken free from the Elder Brain's yoke. I no longer serve the grand design. I ask that you refrain from violence, while I respect that your opinion of my kind may not change.
What is the grand design?
A collective quest to eliminate the Gith and enslave all other humanoids. If that settles matters for the time being, would you like a diagnosis? Open your mind to me. Let us see what lurks within.
As the Meloan's mind pierces yours, the tadpole pulses with power. It feels 10 times its size. Alive, awake, almost smug.
This is most unusual. The incubation period should be complete, as should your transformation. But the larva is infused with strange magic. It appears to be in some form of stasis.
What happens if the stasis goes away?
I can only theorize, but I suspect your transformation would be both agonizing and instantaneous.
I thought it was always agonizing, Ammalium.
Well, yes, but that wasn't my point.
Can you extract the tadpole?
No. It appears to be shielded from physical and magical influence. And even without the shield, the extraction would involve severe cranial trauma.
That doesn't sound ideal.
It is not ideal. The process would surely kill you. But not to worry. Should you transform, I will happily perform a new examination. A nautiloid? Fascinating. I have never set foot on one myself. They were our warships during the greatest eras of the Illithid Empire. We ruled the entire astral plane from their decks. The design was lost when the Gith rebelled and ended our dominion.
Thanks for the information.
Of course. I am sorry I cannot assist you in its removal. But I have an idea.
Oh, perhaps I should start taking notes.
There may be a way to bypass that stasis. There are many alchemical substances that can influence the mind.
Isn't the stasis why the tadpole hasn't killed me yet?
I do not intend to shatter its protection. I need only bypass the interference that prevents me from communicating with the larva.
Bypass? What kind of alchemy are we talking about?
A tincture distilled from a collection of rare mushrooms. They have subtle psionic influence. I would require a fresh ton of madness and Timusk spores. But be warned, in their natural state, both of these mushrooms can be quite dangerous. Timusks cause confusion in those that approach them. The tongue is self-explanatory.
Eating those doesn't sound like a great idea.
My formula will hamper the more harmful effects once the mushrooms are brewed into a potion. Your sanity, however much you possess, should remain intact.
Lovely. So where do I find these mushrooms?
The Underdark, of course, although they are quite rare, and their discovery perilous. I imagine Lenore would have them in her possession. She served Mistra as a cleric.
Where does this Lenore live?
The southwest when I last saw her, although her tower does have a tendency to move.
Why would a cleric have a bunch of dangerous mushrooms?
She is quite fond of her garden. Lenore has always been a lonely sort. Nature was her only companion. I offered her the chance to join the society, but she refused. Her experiments on Susa bark took priority.
All right, I'll come back when I find the mushrooms.
May your travels be safe and swift.
Mind my step. Moving in.
I greet you, child of the sun. How has your search for the mushrooms fared?
How did you escape your colony?
I was born with a propensity for arcane magic my people despise. It gave me the strength to resist the Elder Brain. Every waking hour I pushed back against its dire hold. My wizardry empowered me. The moment its control shattered, I fled. Before the colony discovered I had defected.
How do you survive? Don't you need brains?
In the beginning, I had an arrangement with a lich. Excellent company, despite what one would expect. I required brains, he required souls. A perfect symbiosis. But our ambitions eventually splintered. I wished to better the world, and he preferred its rot. So I left his company, and thus I now feed from those who act against the society's goals.
Best way to deal with that sort of hunger, I suppose.
Perhaps the peoples of the Underdark will be less inclined to violence if they comprehend the cost, yes?
I found those mushrooms you were looking for.
These are fine specimens. It will only take me a moment to brew them to proper potency.
Ormelium turns away to prepare the potion, lost in its own musings.
You must drink the entire draught. I can make no promises as to its taste.
What exactly is this going to do to me?
It will lower the psionic defenses around the lava. If I cannot remove it, I may still be able to tell you more about its origin.
Ormelium watches you with cautious intensity. It expects doubt. It expects fear.
What aren't you telling me? Is this experiment dangerous?
Only in that you may be a danger to yourself. What the potion may make you see or feel, I cannot determine. But unless you are already a step from death, it will not kill you.
The potion is disgusting beyond description. The only mercy is that it goes down quickly.
Not a drop left. Very good. As the potion influences your mind, you may find yourself acting irrationally. Try and stay focused.
The world loses its edges, its finer boundaries. You are fluid, but trapped like a creature suspended in amber.
Focus on the present, not the illusions.
A few sparks and colors dance around Umeluum, but you stay steady and staring ahead. The tadpole spasms, seizes. It's fighting the potion even harder than you are. Fear pierces your mind like knives of ice. The parasite digs deeper, as if it means to hollow out your skull.
Drown out the tadpole by focusing on a tune.
The cold blades lose their edge. You are stalwart, turning that tide of fear against itself. The parasite swells with power. More power than you have ever felt before. It surges and twists, lashing out against that which would dare to intrude. The parasite in your mind quiets, pleased with itself.
Umeluum, are you well?
That lava is like nothing I have ever observed before. Its power is unsettling.
I felt it grow inside me. There's more power than ever.
Such an outcome was not in my calculations. There is more to this being than mere stasis.
So I went through all this and the tadpole's still lodged in my brain.
Indeed. Although, I may have another solution, albeit a temporary one. I possess a ring of mind shielding. It prevents elder brains from noticing my presence. It will not remove the lava, but it will limit its influence, both positive and negative. I would offer it as a gift, but in truth, the ring is priceless. Is there anything you could offer me in turn?
Why didn't you mention this ring before the potion debacle?
Because removal seemed preferable to negation. And I must admit, I was curious to study the tadpole myself.
How about I tell you more about that nautiloid? Every last detail.
A fascinating topic indeed. What can you tell me? What a brilliant experience. To feel one step closer to my ancestors is a fine gift indeed. Here, it is yours. May it serve you as well as it has served me.
That thing better work. If it doesn't, I doubt you'll be in any position to complain.
Of course, the lava remains. Be ever vigilant of its growth.
Don't.
What's wrong with you?
Dwega! Slashed me! Poison!
How did you end up here?
Myconids. Took pity on me. Sound lads, especially since the Greys gave them hell for it.
These Myconids are the hospitable sort. Refreshing, after our run-in with Kvorga.
If the Duergar poisoned you, perhaps they have the cure.
Greys, don't share. Talking hurts. Leave me, please.
Like dwarves, Duergar have innate resistance to poison, and thus no need for intricate brews. Though deadly if left untreated, the poison can be cured by the antidote or natural remedies.
Gods! Whatever that is, I needed it. Why are you helping me?
How could I pass by? You were in pain.
No arguments there. Felt like a hook horror was sorting through my guts. But that cure did the trick. Quick, sharp too. I thank you for your help, but I gotta get moving. Oh, it hurts. Girls' garters. Oh, I don't have time for this. My kin need me.
You're in no condition to help anyone.
Maybe not, but you are. I need you to rescue my kin. We can pay. We're Ironhand Clan, best artificers in Baldur's Gate. We were on an expedition down here when the Duergar snatched us up. I got away, but not the others. The Greys have them digging out some old ruin across the lake.
What was this expedition your clan were on?
Just mining for materials. Nothing unusual. But our work pays well. Help my clan and we'll make it worth your while, I swear.
All right, I'll free your people if I can.
Thank you. Only wish I could go with you. But here. I nabbed these boots from the Greys when I ran. I'll feel better knowing you're using them to kick some Duergar ass. I'll mark where I made my escape, and wait here, I suppose. Not much choice, eh?
Since the party, I've had a spring in my step. And I've got you to thank.
I enjoyed myself too, the kiss in particular.
Unforgettable, I'd say. The right time, the right place, and the right person. Oh, goodness. My cheeks have gone warm. Am I blushing? I must be blushing.
What was it like being the son of a Grand Duke?
Not so enchanting as you'd think. The Portiers, the Caldwells, they were the blue bloods hosting the fancy balls and drinking from gold goblets. Father's the son of a blacksmith, born with barely a coin in the coffers. He made a name for himself among the Flaming Fist. Brave as Baldur, stubborn as a deep Rothay. Daring, outspoken, but hardly posh. I spent more time dueling with Father than I did rubbing elbows with lords. Not to say I didn't develop a taste for good wine and the talent for courtly dance.
And now you're the Blade of Frontiers. Quite a change, don't you think?
Yes and no. Father taught me the 4 pillars of power. Courage, insight, strategy, justice. He reckoned I'd follow in his footsteps. First as a fist marshal, then as a duke. Vanquish evil, maintain order, save the world. But a duke makes bedfellows with more monsters than he slays. Father called it diplomacy. I called it hypocrisy. In the frontiers, there is no posturing, no diplomacy. I slay monsters, I don't consort with them. Well, not when I can avoid it.
Speak.
You said I've earned your respect, so why are you so rude all the time?
If you must know, Verkith requires everything of her children. I can't count how many bruises I've inflicted. Can't measure how much blood I've drawn in the Undying Queen's name. I know only blood red and death black. My mind is silver, and my body steel. I am what I must be, say what I must be, to survive every beast I face and every wound I bear.
Shah's blessings upon you.
You seemed intrigued when Halsin mentioned Dark Justiciars before.
I was. He mentioned Dark Justiciars, and we've come across other signs of a Sharan presence during our travels. I'm not sure I can dismiss that as a coincidence.
I want to talk about your Shah worship.
I'm sure you do. But please try to understand that it's not something I can just talk about freely.
I have no problem with Shah worshippers, if that's what concerns you.
Very well. Perhaps there's potential in you. Let's see how you handle this. I am indeed a disciple of Shah. Mistress of the Night and Lady of Loss. I assume you've heard of her?
Remind me.
My Lady Shah is the Night Singer, the patron of darkness and loss.
Fascinating. Please continue.
Most fear the dark, like children, because in darkness they see their fears reflected. But Shah teaches us to step beyond fear, beyond loss. In darkness, we do not hide. We act. Pain, hope, the promise of better days. All of these are heavy cloaks that bend our backs and burden our hearts. We shed those cloaks. Before Shah, we stand gloriously naked, beyond the vanities of mortals.
How exactly do Shah worshippers turn people to their goddess?
We tear down the lies the world is drunk on. The institutions they trust, the so-called gods they worship, the lives they cling to. We destroy false idols, topple corrupt organizations, fight heretics wherever they're found. There's often suffering, death even. Many people break before they embrace Shah's truths.
I won't cast judgment on your beliefs.
Curious. Most are afraid of my lady. I think I did well by joining you. Most agreeable company.
Well, hello. What can I do for you?
What do you think is waiting for us at Moonrise Towers?
Who knows? Drow? Mind flayers? Death? Hopefully not ours. But maybe answers. If we can convince the right people to talk.
How does someone become a vampire exactly?
It's simple. Just find a vampire that will drink your blood and turn you into a vampire spawn. Their obedient puppet. In theory, the next step is to drink their blood. Once you've done that, you're free. And a true vampire.
So they bite you. You bite them.
Yes and no. The problem is, once you're a vampire spawn, they completely control you. They have to allow you to bite them. And why would they do that? Vampires are power-hungry creatures. They won't lose a servant to create a competitor. Trust me, it doesn't happen.
What's on your mind?
I was wondering about that mighty lord you told me about in your story.
Ah, yes. Karsus. Karsus was perhaps the most powerful wizard that ever lived. The child who would be a god, the elves called him. And he tried. With a spell of his own devising, he endeavored to usurp in one fell swoop the power of the goddess of magic. Mistril, she was called then. Imagine what it must have felt like. To be a god. To know yourself, to be untouchable. To be mistaken. As Karsus aimed his spell at her, she began to unravel, and with her, the entire weave. Too late did he realize what he had unleashed. It would have been the end of everything had not Mistral sacrificed herself. The goddess of magic is all magic. By dying, the entire weave was lost, and the spell that challenged a god failed. It was the end of Mistral, the end of Karsus, and the end of an entire civilization. As the child who would be a god was turned to stone, his empire came crashing down around him. The floating cities of Netheril were no more. An event that came to be known as Karsus's folly.
So in that moment in time, all magic was gone.
For a spell. Mistral was reborn as Mistra. Upon her return, the weave returned with her. Now, so many centuries later, I try to follow in the footsteps of Karsus. Not to destroy Mistra, but to prove my love for her. I tried to control only a fraction of the magic that was unleashed that fateful day. I merely sought to return one tiny diamond to an imperfect crown. Gale's folly, one might call it. History, repetition. It's the way things go.
If you ever feel like the Netherese magic overtaking you, what will you do?
If it should ever come to that, if I ever know I am no longer able to stop it, I will do anything I can to ensure no one but me pays for my mistakes. I will find the remotest place on the surface of Faerun, or perhaps far below in the depths of the Underdark. I will await that death, alone. I promise I will not betray your trust. You kept me by your side despite the menace that I am. If worst comes to worst, I will be long gone before the curtain falls.
Copper for your thoughts?
I'd like to hear how you ended up fighting in the Blood War.
Why not? Let me see if I can paint you a picture. The year, 10 Air. The place, sleepy little town called Baldur's Gate. Our hero, Karlach, a knock-kneed delinquent from the outer city, with everything to give and nothing to lose. I was a kid looking for a way to fill my days and make some cash when I fell into the wrong crowd. Worked for a guy I respected. A lot. Turns out the feeling wasn't mutual. Through the jigs and the reels, he made a deal with Zariel behind my back. You know Zariel, right? Archdevil of Avernus. She put this thing in my chest and set me to work. Well, to war. I learned quick how to stay alive. And the engine served me when it came to killing devils. 10 years of that. The stories I could tell.
You mentioned a boss who gave you up to Zariel. Who was it?
Guy named Gortash. Politician. Inventor. One of these wheeler-dealer types who seems to have a finger in every pie. I guess I was naive to think everything he got up to was above board. What did I know? I saw a job. A good job. With people I liked. Doing work I was good at. Sometimes I'm jealous of that girl. Ugh, to feel so invincible again.
In your expert opinion, what's the best way to kill a devil?
Depends on the type. Ice devils hate an inferno, but that's an easy one. Orthons love projectiles. What they don't love is getting their bombs lobbed right back in their faces. Demons, on the other hand, every demon is absolutely singular. You can't ever think you've got them typed out. Sharp instincts, sharp weapons, and a knack for improvisation. That's the only way to survive them. Anyway, what were we talking about?
I want to talk about your infernal engine.
Old Rusty? Sure.
What does that infernal engine do to you?
Gives me energy. Power. But you've seen it in action. Very hard to control. If I'm excited at all, angry, nervous, delighted, enticed, I burn hot. Hot enough to burn anyone who gets close.
You must be pent up.
I try not to think about it. I still think about it constantly, but, you know, I try. One of these days, I'll sort the whole infernal affair out, get myself cooled off, start making up for lost time. But not today.
Oakfather's blessings to you.
I have to ask, how do you know so much about the parasite?
I studied one up close. Closer than most would care to be to those things. A drow attacked me and I defended myself. Afterwards, I was able to examine the tadpole that emerged. Hideous, but fascinating. Like nothing else in nature, I'm glad to say.
What about this secret stronghold in the Underdark? You must know more.
Precious little. But I'm quite certain it can still be found.
This shadow curse you spoke of, surely it can't be that bad.
It's had the whole region around Moonrise Towers in a chokehold of darkness and despair for years now. Those who remained are shadow cursed. If you don't die at their hands, then you become one of them. We have to get to Moonrise, but the less time we spend in its blighted surrounds, the better.
Seems like you feel responsible for this shadow curse somehow.
Well, there's hardly anyone left to share the responsibility with. Few who witnessed the fall of Moonrise still draw breath. What Ketheric Thorm unleashed is not something that nature can undo by itself. I must do what I can. I studied the shadow curse for years, but to truly understand it and stop it, I must reach its source.
Do you know how the shadow curse can be stopped?
Perhaps, but we'll need to get closer before I can put my theory into practice. Put it from your mind for now. Once we near the curse, then there will be more to be said.
How are you faring out here at the camp?
Wonderfully. If I'm honest, the grove was too comfortable for my tastes. I felt removed from nature. I'll miss my books, but I can find all the wisdom they contain out here firsthand.
Well, if there's anything I can do to make you less comfortable, let me know.
I'm sure something will come to me, given time.
Hellsfire. She's coming.
Well, you've been naughty. And you know what happens when you're naughty.
Gods damn it. Anyone but her.
Just who in the nine hells are you?
Well, you absolute stinker. You kept me a secret? Time to let the Hellcat out of the bag. Call me Mizora. I'm Will's patron, the fount of his power. My pet's been unruly, and his leash needs a yank. We had a deal, Will. But Karlach's still breathing.
I've taken more pleasant shits than you, Mizora. And at least those can be buried after.
That's no kind of talk for a lady. By the way, Karlach, Zariel sends her regards.
You told me! Devils only! She's a tiefling, not a monster!
How precious. The little pupster's found his bark.
Clause G, Section 9. Target shall be limited to the infernal, the demonic, the heartless, and the soulless.
Karlach meets the criteria by virtue of having no heart.
You better not lay a damned finger on Karlach.
Don't you worry. That ship has long sailed the Styx. But a defiant pup must still pay his price. To wit.
Will burns in the fires of Avernus. The lightning storms of Dis strike his flesh. His soul passes through each layer of the hells, gaining their essence and their torment.
What the hells have you done?
A promise broken, a price paid. You know the terms.
Get used to the new form, pet. There's no going back. Some magic even I can't undo. Now, let's see how the frontiers fare without their precious blade.
Karlach, keep an eye on him, would you? I'll be keeping mine on you.
Oh, and Will, don't forget, our pact still stands. Ta-ta.
Gods damn her, straight back to the hells. Just look at me. I did what was right, and Mazora made me pay for it. I'd be hunting devils and demons, she said. Traitors and hypocrites, heartless evils of all sorts, but not Zariel's victims. Not innocent tieflings.
Warlock pacts tend to be unforgiving from what you know of them. Will was lucky he didn't face a more severe punishment.
The Blade of Frontiers has some explaining to do.
I'll say what I can, but it won't be enough. It's Mazora who grants me the power to conjure armor and cast eldritch blasts. Before I was infected, I could even call hell beasts and summon festering clouds, but I promise you, every thrust of my blade and every flame I sparked was for the good of the coast.
How in the hells did you get involved with Mazora?
The one little question that put me out of house and home. I can't utter the terms or circumstances of the pact. I can tell you most all else, but the pact, I'm forbidden, unless Mazora permits it. But I'll say this. The moment I pacted myself to Mazora, I have not regretted for a heartbeat. It was my proudest deed. It was worth the sacrifice. All I can give you on that is my solemn word.
I'll be honest, soldier. I'm reeling. Will hardly knows me, but he chose my life over his. Been a long time since someone stuck their neck out for me like that.
He's a good man. Maybe the best of us.
You can say that again. When he was chasing me through Avernus, I thought he was just another sad merc. How wrong I was.
I promised I'd be back. Don't worry. I have things under control. For now. You haven't been using the parasite's power. You think you don't need it. But things haven't gone as you expected. You hoped a druid as powerful as Halsin might be able to remove your tadpole. But he couldn't. You're desperate to be rid of it. Understandable. But you're looking for solutions in the wrong places.
Tell me who you are.
It's complicated. But I'm an adventurer. Just like you. Just like you, I was infected with a Mind Flayer parasite. Just like you, I seek to be free of it. But to do that, we'll need to think beyond local healers. Your parasite is unusual. It is wrapped in magic that prevents its removal. Until the source of the tadpole's magic is destroyed, any attempt to remove it will kill you. You were lucky that Halsin knew this. His instincts are right. The parasites were merely a symptom of a greater sickness in Faerun.
What is the sickness?
The Absolute's aims are not yet clear to me. But its progress towards domination is clear. These parasites are more than illithid spawn. They are vessels for control. The infected hear the voice of the Absolute and believe it to be a god. You witnessed it yourself with Priestess Gut. That is how the cult of the Absolute is spreading. The highest of their rank, the true souls, carry a tadpole just like yours. It is how they receive their orders. It is what makes them obey. When the order to transform is given, it will not be a matter of days. They will be mind flayers in an instant. Were it not for my protection, so would you.
Why should I believe you?
Because we share a common cause and a common enemy. We are alike. You and I. I've been trying to escape from this evil for a long time. Once, I almost succeeded. Now, through you, I've been given a new chance. You can go where I cannot, and I can protect you from that evil. If we work together, we may turn this around. Hells. They need me. I have to go.
What is going on over there?
The power I used to protect you. I stole it from someone. They want it back. I will hold them off for as long as I can. But sooner or later, I will be worn down. You must discover the source of the magic that controls the parasites before that happens. The cultists are gathering at Moonrise Towers. Use the powers your parasite gives you to convince them you are one of them. And when you find the source of their magic, destroy it. Go. Our freedom depends on it.